In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint Novamarines in a Grimdark style using the following paints.
The first thing you're going to want to decide is, are you going to paint it fully assembled or sub-assembly? For this video, we're going to do it sub-assembly. But first, we're going to want to remove some of the mould lines, either using a Stanley blade or a mould line remover. Okay, now that we've cleaned up our marine and removed all the mould lines, it should look something similar to this. So I like to keep the body and the legs together, and as you can see, I've put blue tack on the places that we're going to be gluing after spraying. And this is so the plastic glue still holds when we put the arms on. Another tip with the arms, we can't always get this second arm on, but in this model we can. And what I like to do is test fit the model before I glue it. Just before we apply our base coat, we go over the model one last time, just double checking any mould lines, and it should look something like this. I've used blue tack on the cork, but you can use super glue as it snaps off very, very easily when it comes to putting them on the base. The spray we're going to be using today is White Scar by Citadel. With our base coat now applied, as you can see, the White Scar from Citadel does a fantastic job for our base coat. Got a nice, smooth, even surface all the way around, and we can start now applying the blue. We're going to be using McCrag blue. We've got a good consistency of the paint, and we've got a decent sized brush here as we're just doing the base coat. So we're going to want to start with the bottom left leg and work our way up to the top, and then the top right corner of the model here in blue. So just generously apply the paint all over this part. And when we get up to this midsection here, we're going to switch brush to a finer one so we can get that nice straight line. Boom! Our first base coat is now complete. Don't worry too much about the neat lines yet. We just want to get the first base on the leg and the arms and around the back. What you're going to want to do now is get your favourite eyeball brush, normally a 0 or 00, and this is where we're going to start to create those straight lines. With our brush all loaded up, it's time to start at the back, just getting used to drawing straight. So nice and steady, just bring the brush down very slowly, and then just keep working your way out. Until you get that nice straight line. And then we need to do one at the front here, down the chest and above the eagle here. So this is about as straight as the line I can get. Don't worry too much about this side, you will get better with time. This took me about 10 minutes. Any mistakes that you've made, you can just touch up with White Scar. Beneath the leg here, you can see I've got a bit of spillage, but don't worry about that part, because we're going to be going over with Black Legion very shortly inside the undersuit underneath the legs there, and there's a bit at the front. As I say, we're not looking to win any golden demons here, and once we do the final process of this painting, which is the grime, it'll all bring the model together. So trust the process at this point and do the best you can to get those lines as straight as you can. Black Legion is now all applied, so you can see I've gone in behind the back of the knees there, underneath this part. Around the front we've got a small area inside here and here, and then either side of the inner thighs there. Take your time with this part. Contrast is great paint, it only takes one coat, but obviously we're painting against white with black here, so just use a very small brush, get in those little crevices. The next part we're going to be doing is the chest. So for Novamarines, if you go off the wiki, this part is black / a metally colour, but I like to use bronze such as this. So Rune Lord Brass is the paint I use for the chest. Also going to be doing the belt now as well. So for the belt, we're going to be using Dryad Bark. With those colours added, you can see it's starting to take shape now. So we've coloured in the belt and we've done the chest at the front. The next stage of this process is rinse and repeating to all the other parts that we've got in base coat still. As I'm working my way through the other parts of the model, just thought I'd quickly show you how I like to do my weapons. So I've applied black contrast again, and on this brush I've got lead belcher, and I'm just going to dry brush on the weapon like so. Don't worry too much at this stage. When we finish the model, we're going to go through this weapon and pick out the finer details such as the Aquila. Our weapon is now complete. Now is a good opportunity to drill your barrels out if that's your thing.
You know, and I'm not judging you, but I'm just saying everybody else is gonna.
We're going to peel the blue tack off the inside of the arms there and glue it to our model. Alright, he's starting to take shape now. So we put him on his base, we've glued the arms on, glued his power pack, Some of the bits I did off camera was the lead belcher around the trim there and inside the power pack there. We've done the grenade launcher in green, and then the pouches at the back, we used the same brown as before, the dryad bark. So what we've got left to do is his head. As you can see, I've done the same detail with the lines, but we're going to do the lenses. And what I use for most of my lenses in my army is striking scorpion green contrast. And there we are. Our Novamarine is nearly ready for the battlefield. I've done the transfers, done the eye lenses. I like to take mine a step further and give it that Grimdark look. And I do this by applying grime to the model. But first, before we put the grime on, we're going to use the Army Painter matte varnish, which I picked up on Amazon. And then the second product is streaking grime by AK. Now, I've not used this before. It's quite a scary process, but I'll show you how to do it. With our matte varnish applied, all that's going to do is act as a barrier, so it will help us remove the grime, and it also helps with the transfers to keep them sealed down. One little tip I like to do at this stage is a wet kitchen towel, just go around that trim of the base, because when we paint it up it's going to show all the lumps and bumps. So we're going to get all that excess off, and once you've cleaned that off, we're going to now apply the grime all over the model. So find yourself an old brush and trust in the process, and we're just going to slap it all over.
Squad destroyed.
Once you finish that, it should look something like this, like he's just been fighting a great unclean one and it's not gone well for him. Just keep an eye out for any patches you may have missed. Obviously where we're doing white, it shows up quite a lot, so you want to get into all of those crevices again. And then from this stage, we're going to wait 20 minutes or so till this dries. With our streaking grime now dry, it's time to start the process of removal. So we've got a tiny cap full of white spirit here, and I'm using an old sock, but you can use cotton buds or even like any sort of rag. And we just want a tiniest amount of white spirit on the cloth, so like so, and then just gently bring your finger over the model like so, and you can see it's just coming off very easily. Now you don't want to press too hard here, because you can actually end up removing some of the hard work that you've put in earlier. So just taking your time, going over the model as much as you like. So you might want a really dirty look, or you might want to take the majority of it off. It's completely up to you at this stage.
Squad morale restored.
And this is about as heavy grime as I like to go. So the rest of my army looks similar to this. I really like the look against the white. And in a moment now, I'm going to edge highlight. But if you like, you can just base it now and we'll call it finished. For our edge highlight then, we're going to use Calgar blue. And we've loaded up our brush. Using the side of the brush, we're just going to catch the very edges now of our shoulder piece here where the blue starts. So just very gently run the edge of the brush around all the edges. I'm going to go around all the blue and do this. With our blue edge highlighted now, so you can see I've gone round with Calgar blue. Just take your time, try and get your lines as thin as possible. At this stage, you could highlight before we do the grime process. It depends on how you like the look of your models. I quite like it after because it makes it pop. But yeah, just take your time with it. We're going to do the same part now for the white, using white scar, maybe some of the chest part and his eyes. With the white all done now, ties it all together. The only bit we've got left to do is the weapon. So we're going to edge highlight that with Dawnstone Grey. And there we have it. I've gone as far as I like to go with the edge highlighting. I like to call this process now the as much as you like. So if you've done it too dark and you want to brighten it up, really make the most of the edge highlights to pop the colours back in. As you can see here for the webbing pouches, I've used Skag Brown just to catch those edges there to make them stand out a little bit more. All that's left to do is base him and get him on the battlefield. And with that, our Primaris Space Marine is now complete. I finished up the base trim with Steel Legion Drab and some grass, and he's now ready to join the ranks of his brothers on the battlefield. This has been the Golden Throne on how to paint Novamarine Grimdark style. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.